Former Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver George Pickens finally speaks out after being traded to the Dallas Cowboys, and he exposes the Pittsburgh Steelers organization and also goes off on the fans. But first, before I get more into it, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news and updates. Also like this video. Now, let's get right into it. So, George Pickens finally speaks out, and he took a parting shot at the team and fans on social media. So, in a now deleted comment on Instagram, Pickens called his former team the cheapest organization. So, Pickens, he commented on an interview by Prospect Media with his former teammates Beanie Bishop and Peyton Wilson, who were describing their reactions to the news of the trade of Pickens to the Dallas Cowboys. So, in the interview and podcast, Wilson said he feels the front office makes moves like trading Pickens with a long-distance lens, trying to stack successful seasons instead of pushing all in for 2025. Pickens seemed to disagree with that viewpoint, and he commented this under the post. And I quote, "They the cheapest organization. Ain't no stacking year after year. They gon' let them bleep go too soon. As it's time. LMAO." End quote. So Pickens spoke out, and he basically said that he was traded because the team didn't want to pay him as he entered his contract year. That's what he means by calling them cheap and shipping people out before they have to pay them. So George Pickens, he's been on the team before. He's seen the Steelers do the same thing, letting go of Juju in free agency because they didn't want to sign him to a long-term contract. They've seen him ship out Donte Johnson as he was entering a contract year, and they also sent him out before he was entering his contract year as well. So George Pickens has seen it. He's seen the players hold out in terms of TJ Watt to get a new contract, seen Cameron Hayward kind of hold out or speak out on a new contract as well. So he's seen it all in the Pittsburgh organization, and he's calling them cheap. Of course, the team just agreed to pay wide receiver DK Metcalf $150 million after acquiring him earlier this offseason, and are likely to hand out a record-setting contract extension to outside linebacker TJ Watt later this offseason that could be worth $40 million per season. So you could call them cheap in terms of certain aspects, but in certain areas as well, it just doesn't make sense. However, this is how George Pickens feels, but fans didn't take this lightly because they started screenshotting his comment and going off on him in the comments. So that one little comment ended up being a big thing in Steelers media. And that's why I'm covering the video right now. Because that one comment by George Pickens had the fans agreeing with the trade from the Steelers and defending the organization. Basically saying, yes, glad we sent you out. Glad we didn't pay you. If that's how you truly feel, then glad you're not on the team anymore. And things of that nature. And the fans started having negative comments towards George Pickens. But George Pickens had enough. George Pickens then posted on his social media story this comment, responding to the fans. And here's the quote. "Literally on a plane, no service, just landed and seen straight lies from Pitt fans. Stop with AI trying to make a story. I'm happy for everything the Steel City did for me. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Signed GP." End quote. So, George Pickens had enough. He had enough of all the negative comments that the Pittsburgh Steelers fans were leaving him on social media, whether that was X, Instagram, or whatever. He had enough of it, and he finally spoke out saying, hey, what that comment and that screenshot said was AI. That was not me. So, I'm here to say in this video that these screenshots were covered by national media, Steelers media, and was made a big thing. And people have screenshots of it, multiple screenshots of the comments. So if it's real, yes, it looks like it's real, but George Pickens is saying it's not. So I'm going to take it with a grain of salt and say it wasn't, just for his sake. And I'm going to move on and talk about George Pickens commenting on Steelers fans. Because he ended up clarifying and saying, hey, I had a great time with the Steelers, and it is what it is. love the Steel City, and time to move on. That's basically what he wanted to clarify with his comments. And when looking at that, that's taking the high road. Was he probably told to say that based off all the hate he was getting? Yes, probably. Does that screenshot of the other comment seem like something George Pickens would say? Yes, it does. But it's time to move on. George Pickens ended up clarifying, and he basically said it's time to move on as well. And now he's with the Dallas Cowboys, and the Pittsburgh Steelers organization is apparently cheap. But anyway, this is George Pickens' situation. He finally spoke out on the Steelers organization, apparently, allegedly, and he also spoke out on the Pitt fans as well on social media coming after him. So, moving over to another George Pickens topic, because I don't really want to make more videos on George Pickens, but one thing I seen a Pittsburgh Steelers top insider Mark Boldy say on social media today on the Pickens to Dallas trade is significant locker room guys got fed up with Pickens' antics and quickly got turned off by him for multiple reasons, and he was told that. Mark Boldy also said some people felt that it would be counterproductive to keep him around even with his unique talent. They felt the locker room could turn toxic. He said not many teams were interested in trading for Pickens, making it difficult for the Steelers organization to get market value, and the Steelers wouldn't have traded him, however, for anything less than a third-round pick, and something that wasn't offered until just recently when the Cowboys offered it. So, not many were broken up within the Steelers organization that Pickens got traded. So many people wanted this. And that's what he had to say on social media. He's someone with inside information. He's in the locker room. He's in the meetings. He's in the interviews. He's in that Steelers organization. And he covers it. So he speaks out on George Pickens this morning as well. And that's what he had to say. And to be honest, when looking at what he had to say about him, I could see why people would think that within the organization based off his antics on the field, off the field, getting mad at his teammates and everything like that. So you can see why some players would be turned off by him and why they would want him traded. You would also see why the Steelers organization, the top guys, would also not really be mad at the idea of exploring a trade for George Pickens based off those things. And to be honest, maybe that is the reason why the Steelers couldn't get a high draft pick for him, because other organizations saw that as well and didn't want to bring that into their team and into their locker room. And I can see why as well, that the Steelers didn't trade him before or during the draft, because Mark Boldy said that a third-round pick wasn't offered. And to be honest, why would you trade someone with that unique talent for anything less than a third? So when they finally got the third offer to them, that's when they pulled and made the trade immediately. So, George Pickens, it's sad to see him go. However, even with everything that's happened with him, everything on the field, off the field, everything, his talent was unique in terms of his highlight plays. It was really fun to see him play when he was playing at a very high level and trying his hardest. But he's now gone. He's now moved over to the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm still going to love to see his game being played with the Dallas Cowboys. Just because he's on that team doesn't mean I don't want the best for him. He's still a really good player and someone who always played with a chip on his shoulder or played with that electric kind of force behind him. So I want to see some good things happen with George Pickens, and hopefully he breaks out and hopefully he does get that contract. One last thing covering what I said earlier, George Pickens was in a contract year. You have to remember, the Steelers just paid DK Metcalf $30 million. Were they going to pay George Pickens as well $30 million? Probably not. And they didn't want to pay 2 wide receivers and then 1 defensive player all that money. It just doesn't make sense from an organizational standpoint if you aren't winning. So the Steelers decided to move on. And George Pickens is gone. And this is what he had to say, finally speaking out about the team. Anyway, that's it for me. That's the end of this video. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below about what George Pickens posted on social media allegedly, and then him also clearing it up, going off at Steelers fans as well, but then ending off with a good message. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And also, Make sure you subscribe to this channel and turn notifications, like I said earlier in the video, for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news, updates, highlights, analysis reports, coverage of this entire offseason. And I've already covered it. I'll cover it continue forward, all rumors, all new players. So stay tuned, like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications for this channel so you never miss anything. And until the next video, I'll see you guys all later. I'm out. Peace.